All right, everyone. It is Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. I am one of the co-hosts here today, and I'm actually going to put up the display name so we know who's all here today. I'm Damon Postolka. That pretty gentleman right over there is Kurt Anderson, co-host. And today we're going to be talking about how do you define your brand promise with none other than John Leroy from Apparel Redefined. Kurt, I'm so excited. I'm just going to let you take it away so I can sit here in my excitement.
Dude, we're like two proud uncles today, like hanging out with our dear friend, the young man, the fearless, relentless entrepreneur, John Leroy from Apparel Redefined. John, how are you, dude?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Thank you for having me on. Man, are you kidding me? So now, dude, you're a repeat offender. I think you need to be a better judge of character. Like, did your mom tell you not to hang out with weird people, right?
Yeah, I didn't listen though, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, dude. You've been on multiple times, and so we've got your dear close friend, and we admire you, respect you. You are doing amazing work, South Side of Chicago. So let's dive in first and foremost. Who is Apparel Redefined? How are you guys making the world a better place?
It's a loaded question, but yeah. So Apparel Redefined, we are your everything branded apparel merchandise provider. We've been in business now for 19 years. We got lucky enough to be introduced to Kurt and his team at B2B Tail, about 3.5, 4 years ago, right? And the reason why people might know about us now is because of Kurt. For the longest time, we were, kind of existing in the background in the shadows, just keeping our head down and doing what we do, like most manufacturers out there. And, as we know, COVID changed a lot of things, right? And it kind of was the impetus for us to stop being a best kept secret. So the easiest way to explain what we do is we put logos on things. You get Steve stuff behind us. We cut our teeth in athletics. We do a lot for Under Armour, Nike, Adidas, Reebok. Since COVID, we've done a lot more into corporate, hospitality, healthcare, all those different avenues. And in corporate, my dad grew up in the corporate world. It was shirt and tie for, 40 years, right? Those days are long gone. I mean, really the only people that wear shirt and tie now are real estate agents and bankers. And even that's changing, right? So the branded look, what we're doing in Zoom didn't really exist 5-6 years ago. Coming out of COVID, this type of interaction is the norm. And we really started to lean into corporate branding because a lot of this was being done and people are wearing t-shirt or whatever. And companies like, hey, if you're not going to come to the office, at least look like you work for the company. Get out of the pajamas type thing and put on a polo. So we did a lot of corporate uniforming, a lot of blue collar, companies that still, essential and need to show up and get stuff done. But yeah, we've really focused on quality and speed, right? We're not the cheapest in the area. We know that, but the two parts of the triangle that we really like to control is quality and speed. Coming out of COVID, we really started leaning into e-commerce and print on demand, right? Just-in-time apparel is something that we, Kurt and I kind of coined, and really empowering, the little guy in his basement or the big company that's already been established out there to enhance or build their brand through custom merch, right? We've developed our own Shopify app. We developed our own software, our manufacturing execution system software that really propelled the business forward. And we're looking to break ground our new facility here, hopefully in the latter part of 2025. So a lot of exciting things going on. It's been a challenging last 6-7 months with all the uncertainty, but the only thing that's certain ahead is more uncertainty, but we're here to deal with it, right?
I think it's certain is more certainty. So, yeah. John, we have a ton of things to cover today. Sure, so we're gonna go fast and furious. So first off, for folks out there, if they heard, like any of our logistics friends out there heard just in time, okay, print on demand, just take that one step further. What do you mean by just in time apparel or like print on demand? What is that for folks out there that might be a new concept?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. So the traditional or the old way of doing things is, e-commerce has been around, since the 90s, right? But that way of doing business was built on anticipated demand. And you would have a design, right? Like these ones up in the corner. Artists would create the design, you have a visual concept, and then you would pre-buy X amount per size, per color, and it would go to a warehouse somewhere in the United States, usually in the Midwest. order would be placed and it would be shipped out. Go to a shelf, pull it, and ship out. You really run the risk right there. If you're a brand entering the market, you got to commit to a vast amount of inventory that it might never sell, or you sell out all of your XLs and you have a ton of smalls left over. And this is the way it was for years and years. And there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of stuff being sent to third world countries that you see it every year. It still happens when you pre-print the loser of whatever, NHL, MLB, that type of stuff. But even that's been brought down to a specific minimum of risk tolerance because, wherever you stand on the green initiative, the reality is one of the biggest things in landfills is clothing, right? People, everyone's got probably 20 to 30 t-shirts at home and you cycle through them. But think about all the stuff that you buy that doesn't fit right, or the design's out of date, it was for an event, it turns into a rag or ends up in a landfill. And there's a lot of stuff prior to print on demand. It would end in a landfill that was brand new, never worn. It just didn't sell. The design sucked. Or it didn't suck, but people didn't appreciate it, right? So this whole concept of just in time is that when you go online and you buy, the instant that it's bought, it's made, right? So we call it cart to customer inside of 48 hours. Your only risk in this whole new ecosystem of e-commerce is your design, right? You get it up on the website. It's up to you to market it and push it. And then Shopify, which has exploded in popularity. It's the largest online marketplace in the world. And you can literally sit at home in your pajamas and create a Shopify store. And if you got an influencer to push it or whatever, you could be creating merch today with a Shopify store, with our app, and really have no risk other than your design. The second something's sold, product is pulled off our shelf or bought, arrives to us in 12 to 24 hours. We print it, ship it inside of 48. So it's really allowing to reduce waste, increase profit, and minimize risk. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. It's one of those rare situations where you can truly say all interested parties do win out.
Right.
Yeah. And it really is interesting how that takes your people, when you look at a supply chain, you really don't, until it gets to a point where it really hurts, understand how many dollars are in that supply chain, right? So if I need 3 months of product because I want a month in my inventory, and I want a month that's going to be in transit from my supplier, and I want, maybe even another month of raw materials at a supplier or something like that. That's a significant outlay of capital that you're going to have to undertake to do that. And if you can take that down to on demand, that's a huge amount of cash that your business doesn't need, especially starting up and scaling, because the one thing that every time we scale the e-commerce companies quickly is they go, well, we're making a lot of money, but we don't have cash. Well, when you look at the backside of most of those, inventory is where you have to keep pumping that inventory up to keep up with the volume. So that's that just in time inventory like that, just in time product like that is a huge thing for them.
Yeah. And really, really ushered in by the Amazon stuff,
Yeah.
When I entered this industry in 2006, a 3-week turn time was pretty damn good, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing three-week turns now, you're out of business. And really, you're adding customization to a product and then shipping out, where, Amazon is in the business of doing that now, but the majority of their stuff is pulling a stock product off the shelf.
Yeah.
And being extremely efficient with all their logistics. But you can order something from Amazon and have it in 3 hours now. And it's like, that has changed the mindset of the consumer, where 3 weeks is unacceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge, huge influence.
Well, this is absolutely phenomenal. And I've had a front row seat on multiple things. I've been at John's facility multiple times, so I get to see this in action. And John, I've had the privilege, you and I do a little interview podcast program together, and we've interviewed dozens of your customers to hear this firsthand. So again, I just want to recap. Number one, if you're a company out there, small business, manufacturer, whatever it might be, and we're going to dive into like your brand promise. But, if you want your team, man, what's more together coming in cohesively with like, where, they come in wearing their t-shirts, their polo shirts with your company logo. It's just so powerful. So now, number one, you don't have to have a closet full of inventory. John can just like, hey, there's my thumbs up. So John can just have that, just on the fly and just,
Yeah.
you need something today, somebody hired new or somebody ruined something, you call up John and he gets it immediately. The second big thing, are there any entrepreneurs out there looking for a side hustle? Man, I'm telling you, John Leroy is your guy to call, because like you literally could be in business by Monday, right? I know, John, like I don't know if I'm exaggerating, right?
I mean, it really empowers the gig economy, right? Where
Yeah.
you could, if you want to create, and there's so many people out there that can, and you have tools now that we didn't have 2 years ago, where generative AI, you could prompt something. I mean, we went from prompt to print in 10 minutes and created a picture of Darth Vader coming out of, it's wild. And the quality and the accuracy is getting better literally every day.
Yeah.
Prompt to print, man. That's a great one right there.
That's a pretty wild concept. I think back to just the the businesses that we have around us every day, right? They could be manufacturing, they could be service businesses, they could be so many different kind of restaurants, hotels, whatever it is. That branded look is so important. Even when we were running manufacturing companies, all the delivery drivers, anybody that's interacting with the public, and the people in the factory, you want everyone to have that. So with the print on demand with any of those companies allows them to think about, hey, I just hired Damon. Let's get him all the clothing he needs from us. And it's like, boom, they get what they need like that. That would be really cool to be able to do that as needed. Just bring it on when you need it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everyone, if they haven't gone through it, they're unique, but everyone through the labor crisis, right? We didn't have enough people coming out of COVID. You have supply chain, you have labor issues. And especially in today's workforce, it's really important to give them that sense of purpose and give that sense of belonging like day one, right? Where the old school mentality of like, hey, you're lucky we hired you. Now it's kind of like, we need to cater to you to make sure you stay here, which is, you can bitch about it or you can accept it, right? And people don't understand the power of getting, a merch pack. Day one, you walk in, you're part of the team. You're not some guy not wearing the shirt and everyone else is, and you feel like an outsider. I mean, that's a big focus and one of our biggest clients for years. I mean, the second someone was hired, the next day, a custom branded package would show up with 5 T-shirts, polo, a hat, and a quarter zip. And it's a little thing, but it goes a long way.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
John, do you get any, if I say the word miss, are there any pushback on print on demand that we want to dispel right here, right now, that kind of drives you crazy? Like, everything's like music to mine and Damon's ears. Is there something that are there folks that give you pushback on a print on demand?
Yeah, because there's print on demand done well and there's print on demand done crappy. It's like, it's not you get what you pay for type thing, but the equipment matters, right? This is still manufacturing. The inks matter, like all the inputs that come together to create the product, people, the personnel, the equipment, the technology, all of that, if it's not done well, will result, doesn't matter if it's print on demand or not, in a poor product, right? Being in screen printing for 19 years, we have a staff of snobs, right? The digital comes anytime there's change in a marketplace. Most people dig in and say that'll never work. It's a piece of shit. I'm not putting my name on it, right?
Yeah.
And I was that guy. And as more and more than COVID happens, I'm like, hey, how can we stop bitching and get involved here? But get involved for the right reasons, where our digital print will stand next to our screen print, and feel, wash testing, all those type of things, right? Because I can't put a product out that I'm not proud of. And a lot of what you saw in the digital print space on apparel up until then was really subpar. But it entered the market 10 years ago. So it's not totally a new concept, but what's happened in the last, 3 to 4 years, there's been a lot of innovation on how to achieve that quality with the digital platform, right? So we spent the better part of 2 years testing every manufacturer out there that makes this equipment, putting it through the same test. And we partnered with what we feel is the best company out there. And now after almost 2 years of having it, the proof is in the pudding. So yeah, the equipment matters, the ink matters, your process matters, your technology matters. So yeah, people that have had a bad experience before, probably got to print on, you know, a tabletop printer, kind of like a mom and pop type thing. And no offense to that, that's what we started as. But the quality and the consistency can't be achieved on just your kind of run of the mill type equipment.
Right. Awesome. And hey, and by the way, man, here, like Damon, here's a little example of John's work right there.
There you go.
Well, I show up one day and he had this all ready for me. He's got it, as a matter of fact, and he had a t-shirt for me. And my wife is starting to tell me, like, Kurt, you got to stop wearing that t-shirt every day, John. So, but I use this every day, man. So this is just,
Nice.
you know, this is like the quality that John does. So John, let's dive into brand promise. You introduced that term to me. And you know what, dude, I don't care where you found it. I'm crediting you as the father of that term.
There you
but
go.
you know, let's talk about, because like I'm going to steal your thunder. You have another line, like you're not selling t-shirts, you're selling memories, right? Yep. Talk a little bit about because that can be business, that can be corporate, that can be personal, could be a sporting event, a sports team, whatever it could be. Share a little bit on the memory side. And then I'm going to take a deep dive in like that brand promise.
Sure. I mean, one of the things that we talk about with new hires here, you know, and, you know, this is manufacturing. It's repetitive, hard work, right? You got to get your hands dirty. You can sit here and talk about fluff, but that's not reality. So we talk about things where it's the truth. It's just a different way of looking at things. I remember when I was a freshman, got called up to varsity. First, you know, in baseball, you get that varsity jersey instead of like a 2-button t-shirt. Now it's a fully sewn jersey, and like you never forget that feeling.
That's a big deal,
right? And now we have a hand in making that memory, right? If you think about the best times you had as a kid or as a parent, as a friend, you know, best concert, best game you were ever at, you could probably close your eyes and visualize, and you'll remember what you're wearing. And it's also the feeling like I remember being really pissed at my mom throwing away a t-shirt or throwing away a hoodie that was just absolutely destroyed. But it's like, why would you do that? You have no idea what that means to you. She's like, it's a disgusting t-shirt. What it means to me, it belongs in the trash. But it's like you attach memories to what you wear. So we have a part. We create memories, not just t-shirts. Is something that we talk about. Conversely, right, the power of the brand promise. We just had a new customer in yesterday. He's in the gaming industry. I'm not sure how it is where you guys live, but these, whether you like it or not, these little slot machine cafes are at every gas station. They're at every corner everywhere. And these machines break, right? And this guy's business is to repair these machines and keep these bars and keep these things moving. Well, he's got a really good business. He's got a lot of locations, and he got a call from one of his biggest locations and said, hey, your maintenance guy's here, but I didn't know if he was going to rob me or fix the machines. And because he wasn't wearing branded apparel, right? You know, it's like the importance of your brand message could be good, which is a good thing, but could also be negative if it's not cohesive, right? Like people identify, like the stereotype, whether where you stand on it, there's factual reality. You have microseconds to impress somebody, right? That happens digitally. We've talked about this before. You have a digital footprint of what you leave or what you don't have on your digital space. You got to earn that digital trust with customers now that you didn't have to before. Before it's a phone book and you're a black line on a yellow paper. Now you have this way to impress people or unimpress them and damage your digital presence and your brand presence. So what your brand says about you without words is very powerful, right? You do what you say and you say what you do. You know, we've talked about this before too, Kurt. Like if you were going to climb Mount Everest, you wouldn't wear, now I'm fumbling it. Who's the camping brand that makes the cookware?
Yeah, like
Coleman,
like Columbia,
right? Even though Coleman makes apparel,
you
probably bring the Coleman cooking devices. You'd be wearing a Patagonia or a North Face jacket, right? Because
you're going to get the real stuff to do that.
That logo tells you that this jacket's going to be quality and it's going to be warm, and people have worn it to the top of Everest and back. Now you're going to go camping, that brand Coleman and Yeti. I mean, here's the thing, like Yeti is one of the best case studies of this, where it's a cooler. Why is it $350? Like for me, if it takes you that long to drink a case of beer in a cooler, it takes you 3 weeks, that's the problem. I don't need a cold for 3 weeks. I just need a cold for the afternoon. But it says more than just we're a cooler. we are a lifestyle, right? And we are elite, and only the elite have Yeti coolers and stuff. But hey, people buy it, right? And that's what that brand says about it. I don't think anyone's going to Yeti and saying like this brand means that it's bottom of the barrel bargain type stuff. It doesn't, and that's the promise they deliver. If you're expecting a $350 cooler, it better be quality and it better last.
Yeah.
It better be innovative too. So there's a lot of what goes unsaid, and are you ready, and do you consistently deliver on what that logo means to you and to your customer, and also your internal people, right? Your promise is just as important to your internal customer as it is to your external customer.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Because you see the difference in a workforce if you outfit your workforce, let them come to work and whatever, right? And then the next week you go, hey, we've got work uniforms for you. And they have, nice shirts, nice work shirts to work in there. They're buttoned up. They're good. It's a whole different place for them, place for you, place for everyone when you do that. And when people come to see you, or you have people out in the community with it, it doesn't even matter if someone's going for lunch.
Right.
They see that. And it's a huge thing, because you think about how many automotive repair places now just have people come to work in whatever they want. Yeah. I mean, they always have a nice shirt on, matched, and because that makes such a big difference, and it really imparts your brand all the way through the people and the community.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, I agree. I actually had a client who was in the hospital recently in the past month. I went to visit them, and when I came out of the parking lot, like there was the gentleman who was like landscaping, mowing the lawn or whatever, shirt off, raggedy shorts, and like it was at a hospital, and I was like, again, not to judge, but it just seemed like people would feel so much pride to wear like a nice quality shirt, and even if you're out in the sun, working, like, just the, then maybe it's like a nice lightweight, such and such, right? But you would just think that, so anyway, now I'm probably like sounding like an old guy, but
Well, and John, I know you guys work with these kind of places, but when I was with the baseball club here, the Seattle Select Baseball Club, I mean, we had, you have 250 players in a club like this. Doesn't matter, baseball, football, soccer. Right. When they all roll onto a tournament, them, their parents, the coaches, everybody looks sharp in their gear. It is something to see. You go to these big tournaments around the United States. I don't care what sport it is, the youth tournaments, you see people rolling in, and it's so cool when they're branded up nice.
Right.
Look good, play good.
Yeah, it really does.
So, John, let's go here. So whether it's the entrepreneur that's starting from scratch, or say the company that's been in business for years and years and years, and they've just like, hey, you know what? I've just never thought to, really take this next step or go with a branded apparel, concept. What's like a good starting point? Like any 101 tips, any basics of like, where do I get started?
You got to be happy with your logo, right? If your logo has just been something that you threw together on just because you had to on a business card, and you got a one-page website out there, you don't want to invest money in something that doesn't truly reflect you. I'm not a graphic designer, but there's plenty of them out there, and you really want to get your colors. You really want to get something that at a very first level, something you'd be proud of, right? Because you don't want to change it. Kurt, we went through this too, where you got multiple fronts, and again, that digital trust that you must convey. If you're changing logos, or it doesn't look good and it doesn't jive with your company, you're confusing the buyer. You're confusing either your current customer or a future customer, and it's just not a cohesive message. So I feel like everyone, you talk about all the stuff out there, like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, up to the 90s, right? A company was a name. Now you got Uber, Google, what are these words, but they've turned into verbs.
Yes.
But it's just, to be, and like, what the hell is that? Right. But an infant knows what it means now, like YouTube and all this type of stuff. Right. So it's important that whatever the name of the company is something, because it's easy to go get a DBA if you don't like it, whatever. Make sure your name is recognizable. Make sure your logo is recognizable. And then also make sure if you're looking to merchandise it, it prints well, right? Yeah. Because if you got a logo with a ton of text in there, you're trying to embroider that on a t-shirt or a polo or a jacket. We run into this a lot with law firms, right? You got 13 partners on there, and you want to get it on a polo.
Everybody's name.
Guys, yeah. just put a QR code. It's like, yeah. So, you got to make sure it's gonna translate well because whatever prints on paper doesn't always print well on apparel. It's a different medium. Great point. Those are two things I'd start with. If you have that and you're ready to go, you want to make sure whatever you get someone, if you're going to sell it or if you're going to, first start with your team, that they're going to wear it, right? What the founder might like may not be what people on the floor or your sales team like. So get some opinion, get some samples in, try it on, because a Nike will fit different than a Lulu, and Lulu is going to fit different than a Gildan. Everything, even though it's a medium, is it athletic cut? Is it this? If you're going to spend money on high quality type stuff, make sure that the people you're buying for are going to wear it. So get buy-in. It doesn't have to be 100 samples, but maybe it will send you 3 or 4. Try them on. Do you like the color? Do you like the fit? Because no one wants to be sandwiched into like an athletic cut that doesn't have an athletic body, and now you don't feel comfortable wearing that, and you're never going to wear it. Right. So that's probably step 2 in the process. And then step 3 is make the ordering process easy, right? We can set up an online store for you. That's what we do for a lot of corporations, whether it's a 24/7, 365, what we call an evergreen store that's always open, or it's called a pop-up shop where, hey, it's open for 2 weeks, it'll close, and then at that point we ship out the garments and then open it again. Usually quarterly is what we do for other companies. But the old way of kind of like, hey, Jimmy, you want a medium? Yeah, you write on a piece of paper. Barb, what do you want? And like you get this mess of sticky notes that goes, here, this is what I want. It's a pain in the ass. So like the online platform takes away all of that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What I want to hit on that for a second. Again, talk about the brand promise. So what, as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull up your website in a second here. So John, you've made a commitment to technology, as you're saying, like the Shopify store. We're going to talk about Nomos. Like, as an entrepreneur, what did it take for you to make that commitment? Because that's part of your brand promise, is like, hey, I'm going to institute this technology. It's not a cheap, it's not inexpensive to go this route. Talk a little bit, like, what was it to you to make a commitment to technology to make your customer, make that easy, the buying process easier?
Well, first, I'm not going to lie, I was selfishly motivated. I was just banging my head against the wall that there's got to be a better way to do this. Right. This software project, God, I'm looking at the calendar in the bottom right now, is 10 years old. We've been doing this for 10 years, where we started this idea of creating a software. One, just because I thought it was supremely unprofessional when a customer would call to check on an order. You'd literally be rifling through a stack of papers, and the customer could be on hold for 20 minutes until we said, hey, yeah, it's ready, or it'll be due tomorrow. Yeah. And then I just knew if we ever wanted to scale and be larger than just a backyard printer for some police and fire stations, we got to do something different. My dad's been in corporate sales for 40 years, and he was specifically selling software. And I remember as a kid traveling to sales meetings and hearing software, but not knowing what the hell that meant, selling for Oracle, Sun Microsystems, Java, all of these things that he knew nothing about. He could just sell it, right? And then I was talking to a couple of those technical guys. I'm like, what does it mean to make software? Because I think that's what I need. And he's like, well, sketch it out. And, fortunately, my cousin owns a software architecture and design company in Indianapolis. We started with him. We architected the look. And, after hundreds of iterations, and we continue to iterate, we have weekly development calls. We're at a really, really nice product that our customers interact with, our floor interacts with. We track, we integrate, we do a lot. And we really couldn't be where we're at without it. And where we want to go is possible now because of it.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, that's fantastic. So, all right, let's take a little gander. Can you guys see my screen here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love that image too.
I love this video. So, John, what are we looking at right here?
So that is the Rock Now, what we call our direct to garment machine. That's the machine I was talking about. We went around the United States and literally the world to test the technology that would have that print stand up against screen print or next to screen print. So that the printing process is real quick. It's a digital print on a cotton t-shirt. It goes around in a circle, it comes back, and then it's got to go through the dryer, as you see right there. So there's actually a chemical reaction that fuses the ink to the shirt when it goes through that oven.
Damon, I think you need to grit that mustache. I think you need to get the handlebars.
I need to get one like that. Yeah.
What do you think? I think I can't pull it off, but I think you could. So let's
We'll give her a try.
All right. So John, let's check out this. Now you also are, and look at this, dude. Like you're doing all sorts of interviews. What are you doing here now?
With the interview series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've interviewed clients, current clients, potential clients. We've interviewed vendor partners. We've interviewed friends, friends that are customers. But yeah, in this series, I guess, or what we're calling, it's not totally branded Thread TV yet, but we're just talking with clients and sharing their stories and their unique business and how branded apparel helps them either, get their message out, sell more merch, or convey their brand promise. I mean, essentially, it's a lot of people, in the industry, like Jason Reinhardt, for example. He founded a company called Brickle, massive print-on-demand company, who's turned me on to Vectify and Florist, and we've had. I just actually got off a call with him before this call, and things are going well.
Nice.
So yeah, it's great. I mean, Kurt really pushed me to do this. This was part of our marketing journey to get out there and start putting content out. And this is the product of Kurt and Damon kicking my ass to get out there and do it.
Well, I'll tell you, and the thing is, every single one of these guys, Brian over here,
Awesome stories.
Brian shares a story like started in like pure poverty and like built the largest moving company in the city of Chicago. Yeah. Come over here, Matt, like just almost on a whim, right, John? Like started a kombucha company and is just absolutely exploding. He's a big rugby player, and just each of these guys, Brody here is building out a software company.
Yeah,
Patsy is just a force of nature, just an incredible, very inspiring. But John, dude, like the people that you run with, just great conversations, wonderful entrepreneurial stories, and just, man, it's like a coaching lesson every time we're on a call with these people, right?
Yeah, it's great. Good stuff.
Yeah. Do you enjoy it more than you thought you would 100%. After you're doing it?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's the host. It's all the host.
Well, you're all right. You're way too kind. So anyway, all right, guys, what I'd love for everybody to do, stop by Apparel Redefined, check out the website. He's got all sorts of information, tons of value here. We're talking about print on demand. And John, you did a great job. I'm going to stop sharing. You did a great job kind of running through the 101. What's from an entrepreneurial standpoint? Let's talk to the entrepreneurs, okay? And not, we're not throwing anybody under the bus. I'll make mistakes. I made probably 100 before 9:00 this morning. What are some of the mistakes that you see with your clients, that your customers, that you just would wish, like, man, I just wish there's a way I could get people to help avoid any particular mistakes or things like in your industry? What is there a real common one that you just see over and over and over?
Like, are you talking about my customers or?
Yeah, more on the customer side. Like as an expert in apparel, as an expert, with branding, is there one? I know you've mentioned a few things in the call, but is there one particular one that you just see over and over and over, and you're just like, man, I just wish my clients or customers we could like get this one put behind us? Is there anyone that stands out above the others?
Waiting to the last minute.
Waiting to the last minute, right? Nobody calls you and says, I need this yesterday, do they? That doesn't happen in your business, does it?
Man, I'm guilty of it. I mean, we know we have the 4th of July party every year right before the 4th of July, and then it's the day before the party. I'm like, crap, I forgot to make my t-shirts. But my guys on the floor don't like that. But anyhow, more than just the timeliness of it, design work, I feel like everyone, but again, now with the tools that are out there, you really do have the opportunity and ability to come in with something that's not scratched on the back of a napkin. Not in thinking that because you've had it printed on letterhead for 25 years and now you want to start doing a polo or a t-shirt or something that will translate. And then just the inaction, right? Where it's like, hey, I don't know. I don't think anyone would wear this, right? I've never done it before and it's not important. And it's just kind of that stodgy mentality that I had about marketing, to get out of my own head and get out of my own way, right? Because you can either lead it, do it, or resist it. And if you're going to resist it, you're going to be left behind, because if you're the company that's not providing branded apparel for your own employees, it's pretty rare, and I would say it's not good. I mean, especially like we're talking about banks, even the bankers. You walk in and do your deposits on Friday or whatever, like they're not in suit and ties anymore. They're in a polo and a quarter zip, and usually with the Chase logo or whatever bank you're at on it.
Yep.
So, all right, moving forward, as we'll start winding down. I know I could keep you here all day. What are some things that you're super excited that you have going on? You have a phenomenal, you have the Ferrari that we talked about, the Rock. You've got state-of-the-art equipment. You've got an amazing, incredible team. You've been stepping up your marketing. You've been like aligning with other subject matter experts to like really take your company to the next level. Building a new facility this year, which is just incredibly exciting. What are some things that you're excited about moving forward for the future at Apparel Redefined?
You need more?
Yeah.
Come on, Kurt, I'm barely getting any sleep anyways. No, yeah, I'm excited to take the company to the next level, right? We had a couple setbacks that you were aware of, over the past year, and it's part of the process, right? And you gotta persevere and get through it. And part of that is getting to that point. I feel like that a lot of manufacturing companies get to is that the winds of organic growth eventually stop or slow, and that year over year double-digit growth that you've been experiencing for maybe double-digit years or whatever eventually starts to slow. And we do a very bad job of talking about what we do. I'll never forget my grandpa was in sales, and I was coming out of college. He's like, "You got your resume?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Send it I put it in every mailbox in the world." He's like, "Let everyone know what you're doing." And like, he had a real big like marketing mindset, at the time in the early 2000s, and he was 80 something years old. But it's like, it is something you got to do. If people don't know what you do and who you are, and it still bewilders me now, like when people say, "Oh, I didn't know you could do hoodies," and it's like, you think like, "Hey, we could do t-shirts, you could also do hoodies." But I guess if you buy a microwave from LG, "Oh, I didn't know you make refrigerators too." It's like, well, it's our fault that we didn't communicate that. It's not the consumer's fault for not knowing it. So I'm excited to actually start doing that and eventually doing it well. We're still in that bumps, and learning from don't do this and don't do that, but we're getting better at it. And I feel like teaching myself and my sales team, like the sales that we have now, it's a 99.9% close rate, right? Like it's all, "Hey, I've already got it and it's coming to you, and just handle it." But now with the email marketing outreach campaign, we're getting a lot of good traction and testing that on smaller markets, perfecting it, getting your practice cuts in there before you step up to the plate and going after those, right? It's something we've never done, and I'm really excited about it because I could see it working, and eventually, kind of re-kickstarting that growth that we had for a while, but in a whole new atmosphere. Because a lot of people that come visit our shop, like Kurt, and we've had other people from the industry, and they're like blown away. Like, you're here without any marketing. Like, there's other companies that have done this, but they've literally purchased every customer they've ever had, and we haven't. So it's exciting to get this wheel moving, but at a faster rate, a higher RPM.
Right. Very cool.
Absolutely love it, man. Dude, such an expression. Now, you have two young men in your life.
Yeah.
Two young boys. Is it Vinny and Tommy?
Vinny and Tommy, yeah.
Vinny and Tommy. Okay, Vinny and Tommy. If you were, let's fast forward a few years, would you want them to A, go into entrepreneurship, B, no?
Definitely go in.
Go all in entrepreneurship. Yeah. What advice would you give to Tommy and Vinny if they were young entrepreneurs coming out of college? I assume that they're going to go to John Carroll University, just like you got my daughter going.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to Vinny and Tommy coming out of college if they were kicking off their entrepreneur career? What advice would you have?
There's a lot, but if you're asking for one,
Fire off a couple.
I mean, like just last night, Vinny's a 5-year-old getting his butt kicked by a 9-year-old on the ice and comes off crying. It's like, I'm like, hey, not everyone's going to be your friend.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good one.
Dude, there's a t-shirt right there.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to be your friend.
He's a 5-year-old. He's a really nice, innocent kid.
Yeah.
He wants to go up and say hi to everyone, and not everyone wants to say hi. But, teach him to be tough, but also polite. But I think for me, it's that if you're going to work hard, and my boys will work hard if they want to live under our roof, it's easy to work as hard as you can, as long as you can, if it's for yourself.
Yeah.
You'd rather put all in this time and this effort and do it, knowing that you're building something and going to fail. But you can be proud of it and know that you've done it for the right reason. And really where it hits home for me is like, again, seeing my dad, right, in corporate sales and just being moved from company to company to company to company. And, he'd outsell the quota. Next year, the quota is 10x. It's like unachieved, right? So it's like, you can only control so much in an atmosphere, even though you kick ass. But like in this situation, you can control your own destiny to some extent, but it's all a direct reflection of how hard you work and what you're willing to put in. And again, it's that kind of competitive athletic mindset too, where growing up, not being the tallest, you have that chip on your shoulder where it's like everyone's looking at potential, and that kid's 6'2", and he's got more potential than the guy that's 5'6". And I've always wanted to take that out of the equation and be like, it doesn't matter how tall you are here. I mean, I'm not repping basketball training here, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But yeah, so again, it's find something that you can control your own destiny in, and then don't ever look back.
Absolutely love it. Not everyone's going to be your friend. Control your own destiny. Yeah. Damon, your thoughts, comments for our friend John Leroy with this amazing conversation.
It's just awesome being able to talk with you this morning, John, and just hear how you are changing the print on demand branding for companies to allow them to really change the experience everyone has that interacts with them with the product you're creating.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So, John, we're going to wind down. Parting thoughts, words of wisdom, anything that you want to share as we close out?
No, I am really excited. We've been talking about Vistage, shameless plug here, but I attended my first meeting on Tuesday, and that's something I'm actually really excited for. I mean, sitting at this meeting, there's 17 business owners or C-suite people, and the guy sitting next to me, billion-dollar company, owner of a billion-dollar company, and just being able to like hear, hey, you know what? These guys have problems too.
Yeah.
But outside the industry, outside of our echo chamber, it's nice to see, and kind of again leveling up the company. It means leveling up myself, right? And taking the risk to step into a situation where you're going to be depanced. I mean, we watched a whole thing go through, and one of the members made a presentation, and it's constructive criticism, and it's coaching. And if you're willing to be coached and you want to be coached, you'll get something out of it. And I'm looking forward to that, because if you're not growing, you're dying, and it's time for me to level up, and I'm excited to do so.
God, how to be rubbing elbows with a guy running, somebody running $1 billion company.
Yeah.
What a gift that is. So, all right, we're going to wind down. We're going to close this out. So first off, John, thank you for your friendship. Words, I don't have the words to share for my respect, my admiration. I just dude, I worship the ground that you walk on. You got like the two presidents of your fan club sitting here. We want you to just be a monster success. And it's just a privilege for us to have a front row seat, to be a part of your journey. And we just wish you, your family, nothing but the absolute best. Can't wait to come back on. I think, Damon, the next time we come back on, John should he's gonna be ringing the bell on NASDAQ.
There we go.
He'll be launching his IPO, right?
There we go.
John, hang out with us for 1 minute, man. And I again, thank you, brother. We love you. Appreciate you. And as busy as you are, it means a ton for you to take time out of your busy schedule. Guys, have an amazing, incredible week, and do us a favor. Just be an inspiration like our dear friend John, and you too can make the world a better place. Damon, why don't you close us out?
All right. Well, thanks everyone for being with us today. I can see we got the listeners out there on the different channels, and appreciate you every week and coming and stopping and spending your time with us, stopping by and listening to what we have to say. If you missed something and you got into this late, go back and listen to what John was saying. Great stuff about the print on demand industry. Great stuff that'll just inspire you and really help you move forward in your entrepreneurial efforts, or just thinking about how you want to show up with your brand better in branded apparel and other products. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here with us this week. We'll be back again next week. We're out for now.